Hi guys, this is our team meeting discussing the Pigletz project. The agenda for today is we are going to discuss our current progress, our roadmap, and how far we have reached. Also, we need to discuss some options for further development, like new blockchains, benefits, and uh, yeah, where it will be good uh, uh, to continue our project and in order to support multiple chains. Also, the gamification of the project. Uh, we want to make games with piglets and utilizing the PiFi token there. So we need to discuss different ideas for that, and anything else that we have in mind. The our common goal is to extend the roadmap of the piglets in order to deliver and develop more interesting features and to prepare for the next market race. As it happened before, the surviving project will strive and will will go to next level. So I believe we will be one of these surviving projects with your help, of course. So, okay, first thing is to see the progress on the roadmap. Uh, there is a task that is pending for a long time. This is to release the feature where everyone can purchase 3D printed piglets, 3D printed version of the piglet. Actually, this is set on the production side. The 3D printing, we have partners on a 3D printing site. They are covering everything from printing, coloring, boxing, everything, shipping as well. The only thing we need to do is actually to define and finalize the smart contracts and the purchasing model. We had different ideas about that, how actually to make the payments and what kind of payments we are going to require for the 3D printing. And the first option was to pay in PiFi, since it is something that the piglets are minting. And uh, the problem is that these guys, our partners, they require cash payment, fiat payment, and with current market situation and it's still early days for PiFi. Maybe this will be hard to support 3D printing in PiFi tokens. So we can start with some you know more matured currency like BNB or USDT or even credit card payments. So is in this topic, I would like to hear your opinion. How do you see? What do you prefer in for paying for the 3D printed piglets? If anyone has something to say, okay, raise a hand. Drago?
Yeah, I find it interesting to actually pay in any type of non-fiat currency in this case. Only concern is how would the provider for printing and distributing accept the payment legally, first. Second of the interchanging prices. In this case, I would assume for noting the payment itself would be based on like what is the current price during the transaction itself, and I guess that would be reflected based on like how high the currency is, how low, and a static fiat price for each print in this case. Therefore, the provider itself needs to be pretty innovative for either a startup or a very, very, very large provider, which already includes that type of either batch or per print payment in this case. So to find that provider would be very interesting, I think. Did you perhaps talk with any providers like that already?
We have an agreement with the provider, with manufacturer. but they will not accept PiFi at the moment. So we will need actually to pay for their services, and if we receive payment in PiFi, we have the decision either to keep the PiFi longer and not to exchange it because the price will drop on each purchase, or to exchange it immediately with the current market price and pay the 3D printed factory. Uh, so because the market situation is still not good, and the PiFi token is not listed actually at the moment on major exchanges. So that's why this option is not the best at the current moment. But in the future, this is actually the preferred way, because everything is around the PiFi token. The idea is the PiFi token to be used within the ecosystem for everything. Just it is my idea is more or less to support several payment methods and the user to decide. So it is, if it is PiFi, we will need to take the market price for the PiFi at the moment. So it probably will be more expensive because the volatility of the price. And if it is more stable coin, it will be more or less fixed price at the moment. And yeah, we also have agreement with several on-ramp solutions that are offering payment with credit cards. So the user actually pays with credit card, but the payment itself to us is done by, again, with crypto. So they are calling our smart contracts, and it will make maybe easier for the purchase process, minting process, and everything for users who are not so Web3 friendly, like newcomers in the crypto. This is a feature that we still need to deliver to our community, and it's a major feature. However, due to dynamic changes in the blockchain space, there are now so many new blockchains. So one of the things in our roadmap, a major thing, was the cross-chain feature. So Piglets could finally live in different blockchains. So in this way, people, for example, on Ethereum, can put Ethereum tokens into the piggy bank, and the other guys from other communities, Polygon, etc., they can do the same. Of course, our first blockchains that we could support are EVM compatible, like Polygon, Ethereum, Avalanche, I think, and a few others, because it will be easier to migrate our contracts to them. But other chains in the future also are possible. So here, any ideas about interesting and fast-growing blockchains that we should support? Yeah, Dorje?
Definitely, we should think about Arbitrum One, and also take a closer look for all of the ZK rollups that are coming to this. Are about to go to mainnet this year, maybe Base blockchain for Coinbase, also Starknet, also Polygon are thinking about the ZK rollup. It's called ZK EVM, and all of them, because they will reduce significantly the taxes for transactions and will change the whole Ethereum ecosystem.
Yeah, definitely the gas fees on Ethereum are a weak point there, because our piglets, they require lots of transactions in order to put money, to level up, etc. And on Ethereum, it will be very costly. So we know that it's a problem there. But what other benefits will give if we go to ZK blockchains?
Every new blockchain that's starting or level 2 of Ethereum blockchain will have some kind of funds and that will be they will support all new projects that are starting to use their blockchain. I mean, there are a lot of DEXs right now, bridges that are starting to use the new blockchains, and most of them, their funds are coming from the ecosystem of the specific blockchain. For example, we saw what happened with the Arbitrum One. They gave a huge airdrop, and we are expecting another one this year. So if any one of us is using Arbitrum One, which is an optimistic rollup, is using with a huge amount of transactions and operates a lot of assets over there, we can expect a lot of airdrops for the wallets. So I think this is one of the points that we should take a look.
Okay. So do you have any idea on the technical perspective what will be required?
Not for now.
Drago, do you know something?
Phrase out for a second. How to implement into a ZK network itself?
Yeah.
Either we need to find an adequate provider, or we connect to a specific chain and implement. Yeah.
I
implement
know
like-
that they all support Solidity
Yeah.
for smart contracts, but they have some differences in the bytecode. There are new
First.
instructions, new opcodes. So
First. And second off, you need to know the prices of like using a specific network itself, or specific, not network, a specific provider, I mean. And therefore, if the provider itself provides their own network, if they use a specific new network, stuff like that. Essentially, like the whole sequence of events in this case, on like how a user should be able to um, interact with either the site or the project itself will change in this case, because our project is directly implemented running on a layer one right now, like on a on Binance mainnet. But in this case would be layer two, which would interchange like the whole functionality itself, which is not necessarily bad, but I don't think that the user would like not every user would be pleased by the fact that they don't see like the transaction immediately on a network. But I guess that would be another challenge which would everybody would face. So if we start with everybody else, I think it would be into a great benefit later on when people are actually understanding the idea of as the case. Uh, yeah, basically, I think another thing we will require is like a specific user-friendly explorer for everybody to, you know, feel all right with the fact that they're not seeing their transaction immediately on the network. Maybe later on another explorer or like viewer in this case to just check that their transaction can be made on a layer one, because we're using like different. We're using Binance, but it could be that we'll be using other EVM networks like directly layer one or layer zero in this case, maybe Ethereum. So yeah, to translate to the end user would be a hard challenge rather than just implementing like the whole transactions and like the technicality of
okay,
everything.
we need to explore it. We need to research
Yeah.
it and to decide. But definitely the easiest way is to start from the EVM, not ZK, and because we need to go cross-chain. This was from the beginning in our roadmap. So this is
Indeed,
something we
yeah.
need to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so next topic is to discuss the eventual games that we can create. But before that, I want to show you here my part of my piglets, because just to discuss the market situation. And these are my staked piglets. Can you see this?
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Actually, can you hear me when I switch the tabs here?
Yeah.
You can. Okay.
Yes.
So these are my staked piglets, and I staked this one, for example, 6 months ago, and I think it is now. Yeah, today it was exactly today. I now can, or maybe there are a few hours because it's still locked. Yeah, there are a few hours, but tomorrow probably I will be able to unstake it if I want. But this one I boosted with all the available boosters, even though it is a special one, which is like just a look when minting, and the special booster is 50%. But I was able to activate all the others, make a collection of 12 different zodiac signs, three similar zodiac signs. It staked, collect, and also I put different currencies in order to activate these boosters. And here the interesting part is that the you can put a coin there, any coin. For example, this BFHT was much more expensive when I put it here, but and now it is not. But maybe in the future it will again be more expensive. The Bitcoin, however, was cheaper than what is it now, and I have some here. So I don't plan actually to sell it at the moment. And here we can see the chart of the entire portfolio. And actually balancing the portfolio here is interesting. I put some tokens that are not so popular, startup tokens, among with blue chips like it and Bitcoin, BNB, etc. So yeah, it was in a few months ago. It was at least with $1,500 more. Now I hope soon we will start entering the bull market, and it will go up. What do you think about the
You
market?
actually kept at least the price. Like one interesting thing is that you, based on the chart itself, you actually kept the price of that piglet during the market itself, meaning that it actually works. It did itself. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is an interesting experiment, I would say. Yeah, especially like balancing in the current market. Yeah, you never know. Basically, you never know in the current market. You don't know which project would plug out. You don't know which project would, during their development and so on, would find something ingenious and become the next Superman in the market. So this one is an interesting portfolio example or an interesting portfolio experiment where you've staked in your first you staked the piglet. Second off, you already put in tokens that you cannot interact with until you decide that it's proficient for your purposes. Yeah, just I think just wait several more months to continue the experiment because in the current market you still don't know, you don't have certainty, you don't have bull market, you don't really have like bear market. Yeah, it's unpredictable.
mhm.
But great job.
We'll see. This was the idea actually. In if these coins were free, not put into a piggy bank, probably I would use them, some way.
Yeah.
And now they are in Piglet, and the Piglet itself is staked, so I cannot touch the Piglet. I cannot touch the coins until they are unstaked. So I made a bet actually. I thought that in the summer the bull market will start. It didn't at the time, so yeah, I can just continue with the staking condition until it is done like that. But it's just interesting to if you have more than one two coins, the balance between them is interesting because everyone in the crypto expects the Bitcoin to be something like a stable currency and in time to go only up and up, and eventually to reach new highs soon. But all these altcoins that are so volatile and Many of them they don't survive 3 4 years. Who knows? So yeah, it's a strategy. But in the meantime, I'm minting PiFi token, and the PiFi token still has to be implemented into interesting features, into games, etc. So yeah, here we reached the next point in our roadmap, which are the gamification. Uh, so what we have at the moment for a game is the Wheel of Fortune, which is for the community, and we haven't launched actually any new seasons for some time. But we discussed with in the past that we cannot because at the moment the jackpot that can be won is a piglet. But we discussed that also we can add PiFi tokens, so users can win PiFi tokens, and yeah, uh, so they will have more chances to win. And in this way, the idea is to be able to engage the community. So more people are visiting every day the Discord channels, the websites. But I also want to make another games, like just games for fun, like action games that are again played in the community and with leaderboards. And the leaderboard winner every week also can get a prize. But the idea is more or less the games to be engaged, because the Wheel of Fortune is it's for winning. You know, it's a like a casino game kind of game, even though it's free for all. But yeah, I want to make action games. So here I would like to hear the opinion of some of the game related guys here.
Well, I love creating games. I don't know really, about the specs on this, like
It is
what
just
needs to
the
be
idea is to
supported.
make action games for the community. It is,
Hmm.
of course, these games will be with Piglets, either as branding or as any other thing. But
Hmm.
these, action games. So, as
I
a
see.
as a game developer for a long time, do you have any ideas of what kind of games can you make?
Any. Well, I did not work on multiplayer games. I did do some node development, which was multiplayer, but on very small projects,
It's not
basically
necessary to
just
be
for myself.
multiplayer. It's not necessary to be
I
multiplayer.
see.
You
Just
understand?
a
The
high
idea
score,
is
like high score table or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
exactly. High score table games. Like
Okay.
you
Yeah,
enter, you
yeah,
play. You have like three plays every
yeah.
day, and you make some score at the end of the week. Whoever has the biggest score wins the
That's
prize.
interesting. So there would be a limitation per day. That's interesting. That would be actually people might want to play more. They wouldn't have the chance that single day, so they could be excited about the next day. Well, yeah, we could do some kind of I don't know. It's like a lobby matchmaking game, like put people against each other. I know you said multiplayer with some kind of high score board as well. Okay, single player. I mean, yeah. Mm, we can. Do you prefer? Do you really want to work in Phaser, or can Unity is Unity as a framework a possibility for this?
Yeah,
What do you think?
everything is an option. Since it depends, of course, if we can integrate easily, so the community can play.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But for example, we have iOS app, we have Android app, and there we can play Unity games, and these
Yeah.
will be great. But on web,
On the
maybe
web.
not so
Well,
much.
I when I go to the web games, like some web portals which offer 3D games and car games, like car games, like that's a high quality game to be played in a browser. Many of them are made in Unity, and I did create some very simple, more like animated artworks, I would say, but it's honestly like a game for WebGL in Unity. uh, I agree. Phaser is better. Unity is bigger. Like, it's not 1 megabyte; it's 5 megabytes download size, and the support for FGL. But I think it works. Why I ask about in Unity WebGL, export? Let's because we have right now a simple WebGL. Well, it's not a WebGL project, but it's a mobile project. The shapes. but I can make WebGL build out of it, and you will see that how it looks in the web as well. That would be maybe a good way to compare. Is it possible to do simple games with this, and maybe even more complex games? Because as I said, I saw many Unity games on the web, and they worked well. For web iOS now, for Safari web, there are some extra issues with that. Well, when Unity
Mike,
export.
the technology is not
Anyway,
important now. The ideas
okay.
for the games are
Yeah,
more
why I ask
important.
about that, because in Unity you can much quickly make things and more rapidly, and you can have higher quality output. But
Of
so
course,
yeah,
but the main idea is again to have some ideas about the games we want to make, and
yeah,
the technology is something that we can decide later.
yeah, yeah. I'm not sure what exactly we would like to have. Some kind of like because I can do platform games, for example, where you could like run around with Piglet, like an arcade-ish
Yeah,
thing. I don't know, fighting or something. Have it level based, so it takes maybe maximum amount of, I don't know, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to complete a level or
yeah.
something, and be awarded for a
I actually
score.
really like these hyper casual games where the gameplay is very simple and they're infinity, so you can play until infinity, but it depends on your skills, and the goal is to make the highest points. But you know, everyone is every player is has a chance to beat your score in the future or not.
Mhm.
It's like old arcade games where there is some guy who is really good and he's on top of the leaderboard and no one can beat him because it's amazing. Or he's a cheater, so we need to think about cheaters as well to
Yeah.
prevent them. But
Would
yeah,
you have some
Drago,
kind
you
of
wanted to
login
say something?
system? Oh, okay.
Sorry?
Would there be some kind of login system where we could,
Yeah, of
assign
course,
the
of course.
credentials? Okay. Yeah, that could, that could fix the cheater problem mostly, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There are different different types of other types of games which we could have. We should probably review some of them, and definitely there are ways to do some type of
yeah, yeah,
games
yeah.
in Phaser or Unity for this, and that would be exciting very much because I love creating games like this. Not just a spinning wheel or casino or tabletops, but something else. I have some ideas, but I don't know if this would integrate well. There was a fish game, for example, where you would sitting in a boat and you just threw a hook and it was going down into infinity, basically. Well, almost.
Yeah.
And you would be just catching fish, and avoiding something else. And as you go down, it gets harder and harder, and the fish is bigger and bigger. As you go up, you have to avoid something else as you have the fish on the hook. This was a very popular game, and there are some other games, of course, many other popular games, but we could review those. Yeah, simple
Okay.
games.
Okay, we have ideas. I like that. Drago, you wanted to say something?
Wrong button. Anyways, I was going to chant hyper casual, but
Yeah.
yeah, basically right now it's kind of hard to pick up the attention of a user for more than 5 to 10 minutes, 15, especially for mobile games or for more proactive gaming, which is not directly related to spending hours and hours and hours in a learning curve. Um, First off, I think would be like best approach in this case would be for the community itself to decide what would be the most interested by the group itself, which is right now type of a game, especially due to the fact that the game itself or the game or the platform or games, depending on like how does it turn out, could be more of like a representation of the project itself. So, genre, I don't think is that easy to be picked up, but it could be mixed. The other thing is that this would become an interesting indie experiment where a lot of the community can, or like a lot of people in the community, can name different types of characters or like characterization in a game. So it could turn out into a sandbox. You never know. Technology wise, I think that just depends on like how the project turns out. If it should go for a mobile platform, mobile entirely, it could be native app, of course. It could be something written in Unity, as Michael said. It could be something written in whatever other out of the box third party engine is already made, or just framework which is later exposed via some. browser in an app or whatever. But that's not that important when you start a game related project. I think first step, best and most adequate, would be to ask for um, if the community itself has an already predefined idea that they're expecting. If not, start experimenting. And as we are speaking about having a more casual game, would be easier to rebalance that type of a game, change it, change the direction of that game, change the idea of the game, and users would be easier and easier to onboard themselves. You mentioned cheaters, you've mentioned people with really high skill cap. That's always not easy to reach, but if you have like a huge learning curve for a game, which is not that casual, would be harder to reach that. And it tends to have this trend, like the whole gaming community right now, where people with really, really, really high knowledge in the game are prevailing in the game itself, which is normal, of course. That usually happens in gaming. But where you have like gamification, and something that you can win, like let's say some assets or something like that, it's not that well looked at. So to start from the bottom, I think would be nicer to have like a shorter loop, shorter game to be picked at. People I think would have a very pleasing experience with it, especially if it's up to 2 3 minutes per playthrough, just because everybody is like sitting on their phone idling at one point. It's nicer to have like a better deep understood content by the developers and by the community, which is expanded into a 2 3 minutes of a playthrough rather than having to occupy a person with something to play for hours and hours just to get or to achieve a specific goal. It's not bad necessarily. A hyper casual can turn into that type of a game. We've seen that a lot in different like stores or different platforms and so on. But that's just a result of an overly developed project rather than the game itself, which in a lot of cases are maybe competitive games with maybe a minute and a half playthrough. Maybe matches that are with certain conditions that are met in 30 seconds or in 3 minutes. You never know, but that opens the door for people that are just sitting on their phone, somewhere and just checking the newer app, which could be Piglets. You never know. So I think that approach would be nice to start with. Social app, something easier to play with, experiment with different genres, and ask the community what do they expect right now? What do they expect rather than just assuming what they're expecting from now. And then start from that one and revolve into something nicer.
I wanted to ask you, Dorje, about the iOS app and maybe Android as well, if you know. If we can integrate games made with Unity there.
Yeah, it could be possible because Unity is a cross-platform framework for games. But recently I noticed that most of the mobile apps which are related with blockchains or Web3 are starting to use cross-platform solutions like React Native. For example, Uniswap released a few months ago. They released their iOS app in the App Store, and I've checked what technologies they are using because they also opened a new job position for mobile developer, and they wanted it's a mixture of Swift native language for developing iOS apps and React Native, which is a cross-platform. Also, MetaMask is another example for a very widely used mobile app. It's the mobile wallet, maybe the most famous mobile app, which is also using React Native.
Yeah, the problem is that these are not games, and games are more visual intensive effects and etc. So React Native is definitely not good for games. But we can actually, because our games, at the moment at least, they are web games, and web games can be integrated in iOS. So maybe this is easier option to support games also on mobile.
Yes, it's an option, but some specific functionalities or feature could definitely should be made with native technologies like payments, like connection with Wallet Connect. And that's why one of the reasons that the iOS app for Piglet is not still it's not yet released, because I've experienced some issues with the Wallet Connect version 1, and currently they are migrating to version 2. So,
Actually, they stopped supporting version 1.
okay,
They don't support it anymore.
But Unity is a good framework, very widely used, and definitely we can make a separate screen where the Unity is using only Unity, and the game is playing. The user can play the game over there.
Yeah. Okay, we will discuss this and think about it definitely. Okay, guys. Someone to share something else? These were the main points here for discussion. But
Yeah, I wanted to say that Unity has asset store. There are so many different assets, you know. That's one strong advantage of using Unity here, as opposed to, for example, if we went to Phaser way or something else. Phaser, probably not going Phaser at all. But Unity has asset store, and I'm sure, well, I'm not sure, but very likely there will be some assets which could help us with, I don't know, the integration of, I don't know if payments integration can be somehow helped with using assets, but there are all kinds of different types of assets which we could also, you know, research and have a look at.
speak, Drago.
Yeah, only one thing that we didn't discuss actually really quick. I just want to mention it is that whatever is decided upon, what the platform for creating the game is. By platform, I don't mean like the device itself. I mean, if it's like third party engine, if it's something else, or just a framework, you know, directly on Node. We need to take into consideration what should be usable in that application itself, meaning that if a direct blockchain integration should be made, that needs to be first discussed and set somewhere in the architecture itself, if it would be possible at all in this case. Um, like visually, games look nicer on like, you know, out of the box engines and so on, but those have limitations, and the opposite too. So it's good to know the exact expectations of how the game should perform, then create the game itself, you know.
I like the, you know, if we make a MetaVerse game like in the central end, I like that the central end is you know, connected directly to the blockchain, so we can call any smart contract, which is great.
Yeah.
However, all metaverses I've seen until now, they're you know, like 15 years ago or something. So they work not very well, and they have bugs, they have glitches. It's not even the you know, the visual effects and everything, but the performance is very low. So this is a problem. At the moment, it will be, you know, better for us maybe to provide our own games, not to depend on metaverse platforms. And connection to blockchain is something that for some games could be done, for other maybe not. But the main idea is to add engaging activities for the community. So yeah, leaderboard is maybe something that it will be interesting in the beginning,
Yeah.
and of course a price that we can give.
Yeah. You're right on that one. It's kind of finicky one. Yeah.
Yeah, Simon.
Yeah, I'd like to ask about the first point for the printing of the 3D
Yeah.
3D piglets. So you mentioned payment, but have you considered how will shipping go?
Yeah, I told them in the beginning that we have agreement with the company in Netherlands. They will produce the 3D print. They will color it. They are producing the boxes, so they are boxing it, and they are shipping it. So the entire process is covered by them. We have an agreement with them, and everything is set. So it waits actually us to launch the this functionality, and we will do it. It is not something that will take much time, but yeah, the situation, the market situation is also delaying that.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
this is crucial part of our platform, because this is the most interesting protocol that we deliver. Everything else is, even though our project is so unique, we have NFT with utility, piggy bank, gamification, everything else, but the ability to jump to the real world is the most unique feature. So this is definitely something we will launch one way or another.
Okay.
Yeah.
When
I have a question. I have a question about 3D printing. Do you know how long it will take to print a piglet once we send them the inquiry, and what would be the cost?
Yeah, the cost is something that is not disclosed at the moment to the general public. So we will discuss later with you, and the time that will be required, without the shipping, to produce a piglet is something between 1 and 2 weeks. And the shipping depends. If it's in Europe, it will be very fast. So it's like few days. If outside Europe, it is more difficult. So probably we will start actually delivering only in Europe in the beginning. And in this way, we can provide a fixed cost for the shipping, because it's almost the same price entire Europe. But if it's in United States or Asia, the cost will be much higher. So the main idea in the beginning was to use a PiFi token and to provide a fixed price for every piglet. So in order to maintain this fixed price, we need first to have stable coin, stable price for the PiFi, and also we need to have more or less fixed price. There is also another complication that some piglets are more difficult to be produced than other. For example, we have piglets without hair, bald piglets. They are easier, and piglets with hairstyles, with accessories, with cigars, with earrings. These are much more difficult because all these elements, accessories, they need to be colored manually, and this makes everything more expensive and harder. However, we are going to provide a fixed price for the production of the piglets. Okay, guys. Then to wrap it up, we have some things to think about on the pricing model for the 3D printed versions, the blockchains we need to support, and the games we need to make in order to attract the community. Yeah, since we will share this to the community as well, and I want to thank also our host from Huddle Space, which we are at the moment. It's like our virtual office there, and probably we will continue using it in the future for other events as well. So thank you all for this meeting, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks.
Bye all.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.